With over 1,000 studies being done on creatine, it's scientifically proven to be an effective and safe supplement to help you build stronger and bigger muscles. But science also reveals that there's a specific way to use it to maximize its benefits and save you money while you're at it. So creatine is a substance that we naturally produce and use up as an energy source to power our muscles through the first 10 seconds or so of high intensity activities such as sprints or tough set of bench press. When we supplement with creatine, we can increase our natural creatine levels by about 30%, but it's also very easy to waste a bunch of money on it without fully reaping its benefits. The first step to avoiding that is to make sure that you pick the right type of creatine. Walk into a supplement store and you'll be recommended all sorts of fancy forms of creatine that are supposed to boost absorption or provide some kind of enhanced effect. There's been some new contenders in the market. Luckily, a 2021 systematic review was recently published that analyzed 8 different forms of creatine to determine which was most effective, with creatine monohydrate being the cheapest, with buffered creatine costing almost 8 times as much. Plain old creatine monohydrate has no problems with absorption, nor does it cause any notable effects that a more costly alternative would be solving. The next step you want to get right is how much to take. One study on female swimmers showed that 2 grams per day of creatine monohydrate supplementation for 6 months failed to improve their performance. Similarly, another study showed that 1 gram per day for a full year failed to improve muscle function or lean mass, meaning that 1 to 2 grams per day is likely too low of a dose. However, the typical dose of 5 grams per day, which is also the standard scoop size for most creatine products, may actually be overkill. They compared the effects of supplementing with either 3 grams or 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day. Both groups experienced significant increases in strength. The researchers suggest that 3 grams per day is a sufficient dose for most lifters, from dosages of around 0.03 grams per kilogram per day. So for a 170-pound individual, that amounts to just 2.3 grams of creatine per day. That would mean that your tub of 30 servings of creatine would last you 2 months instead of just 1. So, what I'd recommend is stick to 3 grams per day, a little less than the typical scoop size. With that being said, when you first start taking creatine, you may actually want to consider bumping up the dose far above this. Start taking creatine, it takes time for your creatine levels in your muscles to gradually increase and fully saturate. It doesn't happen overnight, and in fact, often takes a couple weeks to significantly increase. The loading protocol is a method that helps you saturate your muscles with creatine as fast as possible. This involves taking 5 grams of creatine 4 times per day to get a total of 20 grams per day. You repeat this for about 7 days to elevate your creatine stores, and then afterwards drop down to just 3 grams per day and maintain your elevated creatine stores. The only potential downside of a loading protocol could be some digestive distress from taking so much at once. But this seems to be mitigated if you space out your 20 grams per day into multiple doses like we discussed. I was under the impression that it was best taken right before my workout to help power my muscles. Although there isn't too much research that dives into the specifics of timing, remember, creatine doesn't have an immediate effect. This means that taking a pre-workout doesn't provide any unique benefit, and it makes no sense why many supplement companies still include creatine as part of their pre-workout formula. In fact, one study found a 1.7% difference in lean mass increases when taking it after your workout in comparison to before your workout. But this difference wasn't significant by research standards. As for what to take it with, there is some evidence that taking creatine with carbohydrates and protein increases saturation levels more than just taking creatine on its own. But this only really makes a difference during the initial saturation phase and is of lesser relevance during the maintenance phase. There is a small possibility that caffeine consumption may actually hinder the benefits of creatine. This is illustrated by a recent 2021 paper and an excellent analysis of it by Dr. Eric Trexler. Within it, he took the past 5 studies done on creatine and caffeine and found that in 4 of those 5 studies, creatine alone worked to produce the desired outcome, equivalent to at least 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. Despite the muscles still being saturated with higher levels of creatine, it now failed to provide any performance benefits. Dr. Trexler speculates that it may either have to do with some of the opposing effects that creatine and caffeine have on our muscles from habitual consumption, or the fact that taking them together can cause gastrointestinal discomfort and would negatively affect your workout. But the research is still far from conclusive. Just like any other supplement, it's not magic. It doesn't do the work for you. But when paired with the right training and nutrition plan, it can help you give you a bit of an edge. Thanks for watching. I highly recommend you give these two videos a watch next, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more. I'll see you next time.